All right, welcome everyone. This is our weekly community development agenda, and it's April 22nd, approximately 9:01 a.m. In attendance are Commissioners Brooks and Duncan, which still sounds like a country group, and Commissioner Filios is either delayed or he may not make it this morning. So I will ask Zach to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, polling for any conflicts of interest? Hearing none. Are there changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we will go to item number 6, deliberations, and this is case number VAR 20-0013, a request by Brian and Lisa Jordan for a 10-foot variance. So, Zach, will you be leading us?
Yes, and good morning, Commissioners. Planner Zach Trevino for the record. This variance request is for the rear yard setback. This is a double frontage lot, meaning that there are roads on the front and the rear of the lot. And the purpose of this variance is to enable the applicant to construct a single-family residence with a deck that would extend closer to the rear property line than would normally be allowed. The hearing examiner has evaluated this proposed request and agrees with staff that multiple factors constitute undue hardship and that the variance would be the minimum necessary to make possible this use. Particularly for undue hardship, the applicant is citing the small lot size. It is approximately a 5,400 square foot lot. Importantly, this lot is located in the agricultural suburban zone. Currently, the minimum lot size for that zone is 2 acres. This lot was platted prior to that taking effect, but that small lot size does severely restrict the area that is available for building. Furthermore, the location of the well on site is a relevant factor. The applicant wanted to be able to connect to the water system for the area in Kidd Island Bay, but they weren't able to at that time. The connections weren't available, so they drilled a well located approximately 26 feet from the front property line. In order to enable future deepening of that well if it becomes necessary, the applicant would want to locate the residence at least 10 feet from it. While that's not required for a location of a residence in relation to an existing well, if deepening becomes necessary, then requirements from the Idaho Department of Water Resources for new wells may take effect, and that's one of the reasons for the location of this residence. And I could go into further detail about the proposal, but staff does feel that it is appropriate, does not see any negative effect on the Boysen Loop right-of-way, and the hearing examiner agrees with that. And I stand for any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I don't have any. I read the complete file, and it looks very reasonable.
The only question I would have is this one of these situations where we could just keep hearing these over and over again because of the lot size in this area, and it should be one of those things that we address comprehensively?
Potentially. These lots in this plat are similarly sized. This is one of the smaller ones, although there are some that are even smaller. And there are residences on adjacent parcels, whether it's due to slightly larger size, maybe they were able to connect to the water system, or different slope conditions that we're able to build without having a variance. And so there may be others. There haven't been a lot in the past. Looking at the history of variances, there was one on a nearby street, but on this road, in this block, there haven't been any. So it's hard to say, but that's maybe something that could be looked at.
Okay.
Commissioners,
Yeah.
Pat Braden, Civil Deputy Prosecutor. For the record, I can just note that globally, I think the bulk of our variance applications, especially the approved ones, are on shorelines or near shorelines where there's often steep slopes. So I think that is something that would be appropriate to address globally at some point. What we are working on tweaking our variance criteria to make it maybe a little more difficult to get variances. But at the same time, if there's places where we typically will approve a variance if it's applied for, then, I think that certainly warrants additional discussion regarding the zoning of that area, perhaps setback standards, things like that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. I'm ready for a motion.
Yes, I move that we approve the variance in case number VAR 20-0010, a request by Brian and Lisa Jordan.
It's 0013.
13, what did I say?
0010.
Jeez.
A lot of zeros in there.
0013.
Perfect. I'll second that.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Theophilus is absent.
Yes. All right.
My
going-
glasses are too strong.
Well, I just remember having to bring it back when I used too many zeros one
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I don't want to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. So item number 7, signings. We have case number ZON 20-0010. This is the Shannon Schuyler zone change. And Vlad handled this.
Good morning. Pursuant to the board's direction, staff has prepared an order of decision for your review and signing. As you recall, it was a denial.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move that we, deny the request for zone 20-0010, Shannon Schuyler.
Yeah, so we'll execute the order of decision.
Oh, execute the order of decision. Okay.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Theophilus is absent.
All right. I'll give that to you to sign.
Thank you.
All right, case number CUP 19-0004, Upper Columbia Corporation of Seventh-day Adventist. Vlad again?
Once again, Vlad Finkel, for the record, as you recall, the board also denied this project. Staff has prepared an order of decision for your review and signing.
Okay.
I move that we execute the order of decision denying CUP 19-0004, Upper Columbia Corporation of Seventh-day Adventist.
Second?
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Theophilus is absent.
Okay, executing the order.
Thanks.
Right. We'll go into item number 8, which is our business segment. And our first item is a community development survey that's required by the recently updated comprehensive plan. David?
Good morning, Commissioners. David Callahan, Community Development Director. If you look to your right on the screen, you'll see 3 areas where the comp plan that's recently been updated says that we should survey. And I'll leave it to you to read through here, but I'll provide the background and context. Because we have adopted this as our future work, and the Plan Commission's been drilling down through these things, they've actually done, you may have noticed, a number of these elements. We now have on our webpage a paper that explains how you deal with the shoreline, and another one that helps people understand this, that, and the other that the comp plan all suggested that we do. So this is, again, the Plan Commission's effort to keep going and do the right thing. The reason I want it in front of you is I just wanted to have a dialogue with you if you have any ideas about how we do some of these things, because, the traditional way to get out in front of this would be to work with someone like Taryn Hecker and set up a web page, broadcast by Facebook and every other way, and engage people and start to get a response. In some cases, we may need to do a roadshow, this second one where it talks about, getting an idea of what people think about industrial and commercial development. My thought is, we pick some of our major corridors where we have commercial industrial, do a GIS analysis so we have the names of property owners all along that corridor, set up a meeting and talk with them. But there's other ways to approach these things, so I mostly just wanted you to know, these are 3 that are coming up that we need to get our minds around. If you have, we, the Plan Commission and staff, if you have ideas about how we should approach that, I'm all ears.
Okay. I know that I just filled out a SurveyMonkey survey for the city of Rathdrum, who's
Yeah.
kind of doing something like this, so I
And that
think
looks
that's.
pretty well, did you
it-
think?
I liked it.
It's easy,
It's very easy.
and it's cheap,
And it didn't take very long. So
all good things.
I would suggest SurveyMonkey.
SurveyMonkey.
And then as far as, the more public outreach, I think the better. So if number 2 requires
Meeting with
that,
people.
yeah, then do that. I'm almost wondering if you can combine it with a white paper discussion, because you were already going to kind of hit the road with that, right?
That's true, I could double dip,
Double dip.
so to speak.
Yeah, and then that way the people who show up for the white paper will also hear about the industrial and commercial.
That's a
Thanks.
good point, we'll just
So
plan
just
on
things
that.
to
Yeah,
think about,
right.
yeah. But I like the surveys that don't take very long.
Like meetings that don't take long.
Yes.
I'm particularly interested in the first one, policy 1, as far as what people feel about property rights. That's very important, and I think that will engender a lot of conversation. And the third one, policy 2, that to me, you can always say, we want it to remain rural.
But what does that mean?
What does that mean?
And yeah,
And I
that
think
we're gonna
that's
have to
the-
tease out somehow, and that's why, unless you have another idea, I was gonna start with Taryn, because she's a master at
Yeah,
that.
but that's the devil in the detail.
Yeah,
Everybody agrees we ought to have that discussion, but then when it comes down to it, well, I want it to be agriculture.
and, yeah, I hear you loud and clear. The Plan Commission agrees. That's gonna be a hard one.
Yeah. Well, if you ask my daughter, it's not paving our road. We talked about that at one point. That was a complete meltdown. Yeah. No, we live on a dirt road. You can't pave it. Okay. Then you're going to need to wash my car.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's just something that I've heard in the past, that, given
Yeah,
those
sure.
dirt roads and open space, I think. And, yeah,
Those things matter. So
yeah, I do. So,
we'll look into SurveyMonkey, we'll talk with Taryn. If you have any other ideas, let me know.
okay.
And then we'll bring back to you any sort of strategy we come up with, just so you know how we're rolling things out.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that really covers that item.
Okay, so the next item, use of a consultant budget to assist with analysis of water availability.
If you look under the blue line on the screen to your right, this again is driven by a comp plan policy we just adopted, you adopted. And it makes good sense that we do this, but when I started to get my mind around how we would do it, and I'll wait till you finish reading through it. Thank you. I'm certain we don't have the staff intellectual ability to tackle this one. And so I reached out to Welch Comer because I know they do. And in particular, Nisha is one of their principals, and you know her position with the.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so she's actually put together an approach. I can bring it back to you if you'd like to see it. But the main thing I wanted to dialogue with you about is it looks like it's going to be about a $17,000 consultant fee, turnkey for everything. That's more than half my consultant budget, or, yeah, about there. And I'm planning on pretty well blowing the budget this year using the 3 consultants you've let me hire for building permit review. And so part of what I need to think through with you is where and when do we do this? Do we put this off till next year, next year's budget? Or kind of do a wait and see with the consultants that we have and where we land? And this is an important item. I'd like, while Welch Comer's
Sure, it's
Interested.
important, is it critical that we do it now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's always an issue for us, but there's no, outside of the Pleasant View area, I don't know
Right.
of a group hammering us to want us to do something.
Have we heard much from Pleasant View since?
No, they're still mad, but,
I'm sorry.
yeah, well, that's just occupational hazard.
Are we looking at the entire county or just certain? Oh, the
Yes,
entire county.
that's why it's the big money, is I
Okay.
told Nisha, to me, we've got to approach this methodically with all of our agencies. And so her approach was she laid out a schedule where they'd meet with us first, make sure they understand our code, then reach out to the agencies, create a dialogue, and then start some sort of iterative process, when that's where the real thinking comes in, where they'd roll out some options, and we, the staff, and all of the agencies would review it. But my guess is that's going to take back and forth 3 or 4 versions to come up with something, because we're literally inventing the wheel. When I look out across the nation, most places use potable water, or they just, they don't fret it. It's a buyer beware thing. Here we got the weirdness of fractured geology that no one can bank on for more than a year or so.
Right.
And so that's the part we're trying to get our minds around.
So would this information be used to deny applications or building permits?
Well, it could potentially, if we end up with, assuming we get through policy and come up with something that we should put in code, then yes. If it didn't meet the minimum requirements, but it also works in reverse. If we get some good, solid data that says we have rock-solid water production here, then that makes everyone feel more comfortable, I hope.
I guess my thought would be if somebody buys a piece of property, assuming they know, but they're willing to have a cistern and have water brought in, why wouldn't they be allowed to build?
That's always an option. The problem we have right now is we have no way to get a snapshot in time of what's likely.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'd be in favor probably of this, this study, as long as we keep that in mind, that if somebody wants to build knowing there's no water and that they're going to make accommodations for that,
Right.
then,
And, that could give us the data to, sufficient data to say, okay, you're gonna, this can be a condition of approval, you have to have water, figure out how to get water to your property in sufficient quantities, whether it's cistern and delivery or whatever.
okay.
Or you're gonna have to dig your well deep and it's gonna be really expensive, whatever the finding is.
Sure. I just want to be real careful about that balance of, that's good data, that's great, but allowing somebody to make that decision if they want to incur that type of hardship in my mind.
Your point's well made and well taken. What I think we would do is, this just fills the gap we have right now for, we don't have a good way to know.
Right.
But people can always volunteer to do something that works. I think maybe we just need to be mindful of, if necessary, writing that into the code, so it's an if-then decision tree. If you
Right.
can't do this, then you may do this. If you do that, then we can do
Sure.
we can approve.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. All right, so then I would say, look at fourth quarter, see how you're doing
Yeah.
overall, and then if not, we'll
Then-
just do it next year.
That makes sense to me, because that way we'll know about our building permit and plan review.
And fourth quarter's right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's flying by. So,
It's amazing.
yep. Anything else on this bill? Okay. And then our last item is consideration of Welsh Comer contract to continue assistance with site disturbance permit review.
We've been using them for some time, more than a year now, if I remember right, to help us with the really difficult projects. And they've been perfect, in my view. They've been timely, helpful, they know our code inside and out, and they have the right attitude. It's hard to find all of those. And so I would like to continue that working relationship. The contract that Pat's reviewed is in your electronic file.
Okay,
But I just want to prepare you for it. We're going to go ahead and put it on your next available business agenda and see if we can continue this.
yep,
Really.
5 o'clock today. You have until
Oh.
5 o'clock today.
Actually, well, I think Sandy set it up, so it's probably your next business
Okay.
agenda after next week.
Sure, no worries. All
So I
right,
just wanted you to be aware of it, and that's it for me.
okay,
Thank you.
great. Yep, all right. Nothing further, then this meeting's adjourned.